Yes, this just in. The New York Times says Brett Kavanaugh once threw ice cubes in a bar. I know, ice, frozen water shaped like cubes. Obviously, we can't have this fiend on the Supreme Court. If he treats ice like a weapon, what might he do with a snow cone? Now, the Times admits the writer of this piece had once, on Twitter, deemed Kavanaugh a threat to society. The Times calls using this writer in error, mostly because they got caught once again. But it's ice.
These police documents that show that Brett Kavanaugh threw ice in someone's face during a bar fight when he was in college. Do you feel that that is in any way disqualifying for someone to sit in the Supreme Court?
This is why we need an FBI investigation, because there are a lot of allegations, and the reports really are about how he behaves when he is drunk.
Yep. Maybe they do want to abolish ICE. So, you see what's going on here? It's called the list. When initial incidents are uncorroborated, you build a menu of even more incomplete items to create an illusion of corroboration. First ICE, then noogies, and finally jaywalking. Talk about a petty criminal. Meanwhile, accuser number 3, who faced a few allegations of her own, fails to navigate a Q&A.
Did you see Brett Kavanaugh, spiking the punch, putting green alcohol in the punch?
I saw him giving red Solo cups to quite a few girls during that time frame. I saw him around the punch, I won't say bowls, or the punch containers. I don't know what he did, but I saw him buy them, yes.
You know what I'm going to ask. Everyone is wondering if one of those people was Brett Kavanaugh.
I cannot specifically say that he was one of the ones who assaulted me, but before this happened to me at that party, I saw Brett Kavanaugh there.
You know, her lawyer, cue ball Superman, might want to hold off on the presidential run for now, which reminds me of a joke. What's the difference between a drunk and a journalist? Journalists black out when sober. Faced with facts they hate, they pass out like those fainting goats. This amnesia, oddly, only blocks out stuff that doesn't fit their desires. Swetnick, Ford's inconsistencies, Feinstein's foul play, Rachel Mitchell's memo. This is what the media has done to America. The only accusations that matter are against conservatives. No burden of proof, no need for a witness. All you need is an accusation, and that accuser then becomes the prosecutor. The left accuse, then punish for the cause. Something we saw in the Soviet Union and Mao's China. Are we there yet? We aren't, but the press is. Tucker, welcome to the show. Very exciting to have you here.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
Yes. So I just read that Kavanaugh won't be returning to Harvard to teach. So anyone saying that this is just a job interview and not some career-destroying inquisition is lying.
Right. The children at Harvard don't want him.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think some have filed suit under Title IX saying his very presence is an act of hostility to the idea of equality or something. This is one of those moments, I've seen a couple in 49 years, where mass hysteria overtakes us all. And I keep thinking as I'm watching these news reports done by a lot of people I know, those are decent, smart people. This is going to be like waking up with that tattoo 15 years from now, and you're like, I'm not even sure what these tribal signs stand for. And at the time, it seemed deep and significant, and now it's just embarrassing. People are saying things and attaching significance to things that are ludicrous, that adults should dismiss out of hand as not meaningful. This is a guy who's written over 300 opinions as a federal judge. None of them are under debate. Instead, we're talking about his yearbook page and ice cubes and totally unfounded allegations. It's just embarrassing. I believe there's a liberal case against Brett Kavanaugh, like a real one. Like, I don't agree with his ideas. Here's why. We're not hearing that. It's this garbage.
You know, Dana has a tribal tattoo, so you're going to have to apologize, Tucker.
I have already. And there's that one time I woke up with a tattoo.
There's the Jasperites.
What?
There's the Jasperites.
What do you, you grew up in Colorado, which I believe has snow. You probably packed a hard snowball. Are you willing to confess it to any snowball fights?
My grandfather, who was a rancher, he was against snowballs because he had actually seen a boy have his eye put out by a snowball.
It's always the eye.
It was the eye.
It's always the eye.
I do wonder what will happen when they find out that he, had to put a spitball into a young girl's pigtails in front of him. Then we will know that the nomination is over.
Is the American public seeing this for what it is?
Well, it depends. I don't know. I don't know. I think that they're seeing a lot of it. What was interesting was yesterday I saw a posting about interaction on social media about this issue. The #1 sites for all of this interaction. #1, Fox News. #2 was Breitbart. #3 and 4, I think, were Ben Shapiro. Then you hit like Fox News again. Like, so in terms of engagement, people who are talking about this, interacting about this, yes, it is absolutely penetrating, I think, on the right for sure. But I think it's also true on the left. And you see it in the fundraising numbers, certainly, for Democrats. They are raising a ton of money. I don't necessarily think it helps them in the Senate, but it could help them win back the House.
Jesse, would you like to react to some sound on tape of Donald Trump talking about this?
Sure.
Why don't we do that,
Let's
then?
do it.
All right. I wanted to ask first.
Okay. You have my permission.
Well, I say that it's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of. This is a very difficult time. What's happening here has much more to do than even the appointment of a Supreme Court justice.
I think he hit the nail on the head, although I'm not worried about anything. I don't think men in this country are that much under assault. But I will say this. He does have a good point that any allegation can bring anybody down if this is the environment we're living in. But let's just get this straight. So someone throws ice at someone at a bar, and Democrats want the FBI to investigate.
Yes.
And Hillary Clinton's classified emails wound up on Anthony Weiner's laptop 2 weeks before the election, and the Democrats say, no, FBI, don't investigate. The more and more I hear about Brett Kavanaugh, the more and more I kind of like Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh likes beer. The Democrats have come out against beer. Think about that.
And
America.
ice.
And ice. This is probably the dumbest thing they did since they came out against the national anthem last year. This is terrible politics. It sounds like they want to bring back prohibition. And the last time I checked, Ted Kennedy had a few drinks, and things didn't go too well. And then, wait a second, Bill Clinton was credibly accused of rape by Juanita Broaddrick. And remember how NBC treated that? They spiked the Juanita Broaddrick story, and they just went full on with this woman's claims. And this woman's being run by, as you call him, the creepy porn lawyer, who's riddled in debt and is running for president as a Democrat. None of her alibis check out. She's got a history of lies and lawsuits. And I'm thinking to myself, NBC News spiked the Ronan Farrow story about Weinstein, and they go with this?
That's so
They
true.
have no standards over there.
No, it's so true. Juan, you can respond to Jesse, or you can answer my question. Isn't Avenatti the best thing that could happen to Republicans?
They're certainly making him into that, because they're making him into a whipping boy. You would think he was Nancy Pelosi by the time they're done.
Well, has he done anything good for the Democrats?
I don't know. I mean, clearly, Avenatti had Stormy Daniels. I don't think that's a very favorable
Yeah, she's at home going, where's my cue ball hero?
No, but let me just say, Jesse's affection for Judge Kavanaugh as a fellow frat boy, I think that stands out. So that's what it is, because this story, unlike what you guys are talking about, is about the judge's credibility. And if he's in the bar engaging with bar fights, and you say throwing ice to make it a big deal, no. This is a guy who says he was a choir boy. He said nothing like this was going on.
He said he was a choir boy.
He basically did say he was a choir boy.
Drank beer. He liked beer. That's not a choir boy.
And in the president's comment, Greg.
Yes.
Oh, these are scary times for young men. And then Don Jr.'s on record saying he's more afraid for his sons than he is for his daughters. Wow. So in other words, Professor Ford, who steps forward, puts her name out there, comes forward and testifies before Congress. Professor Ford, oh no, your trauma, your difficulty, your lifetime of trauma is to be ignored. Now what we're really worried about is the boys. How ridiculous is this? What is the history of women?
You have sons. Would you want them to have due process?
This is not. He was not charged with a crime. This is about him going to the Supreme Court
of public
of the United
opinion
States.
Can be worse.
And here's the thing, Greg. If you put someone on and you say, oh, well, did he lie? Did he dissemble? Oh, so he says that the devil's trying.
Wait, can I ask you one question?
I'll tell you, specifically, he said he had no knowledge about this New Yorker article, and it turns out, guess what? He's trying to get people to refute.
No, that's not
true.
Let
me ask you one question. You've said, like many say, that this is not a legal proceeding, it's a job interview, therefore due process doesn't apply. The rules of basic fairness don't apply. Is that really the standard you want? I
For
thought
this?
that, well,
It's a
but hold on.
confirmation here.
Due process is a legal term for fairness.
Yeah.
If I accuse you of something, I have to show that you did it. That doesn't just apply to court. That applies to how you raise your kids, how you deal with your wife, and your coworkers. Do we really suspend that because Democrats want power? I mean, are you actually comfortable with that standard?
It's not about suspending because Democrats want power. It's suspending the idea that somehow you're to have the rules of a criminal proceeding.
No. It's a very simple rule. But hold on. When a U.S. Senator says you're accused, prove you're innocent.
No, it's not.
They actually said that out loud. Are you comfortable with that?
No, that's not. I mean, you are distorting it. The reality.
No, I'm not. I'm quoting it.
By the way, you are not as attractive as most people who sit in this chair. It's very unsettling.
I find that to be a bit sexist.
Dana, I will say this.
No, wait. You said enough. Dana needs to clarify what you said. Let Dana. No, Dana needs to clarify what you said.
So there is something that is unfair about this suggestion that Brett Kavanaugh was trying to coach people through text messages so that they would corroborate a story like that they knew was coming out of the New Yorker. It's not the case. That is not what happened. And having been the spokesperson for Roberts and Alito, let me just tell you, like, for example, you have so many press questions coming at you about things that might have happened. Like John Roberts, the big scandal was that he was a member of the Federalist Society. So what do I have to do? I got to call someone. It's like, was John Roberts a member of the Federalist Society? Like, what happened there? Did he give a speech there? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. So, yes, I have to ask them about it. It's not because you're trying to squash a story, and that's unfair.
No, it's not. And
yes,
in fact,
it is.
The best defense, I thought you were going to say, it's possible that the reporter for the New Yorker was in touch with his advisors and maybe even him, and then he reached out to people. But remember, Dana, he testified that he knew nothing about this until the New Yorker
he testified he didn't know what the specific allegation was. He had gotten wind that this woman was calling around. You know why she was calling around? Because she didn't know it was Kavanaugh. She was saying to her friends, hey, you know what? Was it Kavanaugh? I'm not really sure. So he had gotten wind something was coming down the pipeline. So he said to some of his buddies, hey, you know what? Like, I didn't do anything. Let's make sure I didn't do anything.
Can I point out?
That's what happened.
We gotta go. I just like the fact that
they're both right.
I like the fact that Jesse is doing the old symbol for a telephone. That's like amazing.
That's because he's a hipster.
What do they do now?
You have to go on.
Just one last thing, right?
Whoa, my God, you're killing me.
Too much for you, Greg. I know. You don't want to hear the other side.
We're 3 minutes over.
Okay, but
we have to talk about Tucker's book. All right, President Trump ripping Democrats and his potential 2020 opponents. His fiery reports ahead.